All right. Well, good morning, everybody. 12 o'clock on the dot. And we are here today, and we are grateful to have Laura Tull here today from the Collat School of Business. And we're excited to see some people already here on Zoom and some joining us on Facebook. So again, as we give people some more time to join us for this webinar today, we want to remind you again, we're live streaming our webinar on Facebook. So if during the presentation you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section, and we are here on Zoom. And so the recording for this webinar will stay on Facebook, I want to say, for about a month. And then we will also have our webinar on our website, uab.edu/families, under communication for viewing, reviewing, and sharing with other students and other family members. So at the end of the webinar, you will also get a post-webinar survey that we would love for you to complete, because your input and your feedback is very important for us as we continue to provide additional information and more insights on every resource that's available here at UAB. So thank you for joining us, and I'm going to pass it over to Laura to introduce herself and take us through the webinar. Good morning, Laura.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you so much, Carmen. So as Carmen said, my name is Laura Tull. I work here in the Collat School of Business as the Director of Advising and Student Success. And I'm really excited to share some things with you. Know that this is a presentation that your students will see. And we want to share that information with you as well, so that you can remind them, so that you know what they're seeing, can ask questions. And so they are going to have access to all of this information as well. So we're just going to jump right into it. Well, first I do want to share something. We are called the Collat School of Business. We were the first named school here at UAB. And that was a $25 million gift to our school. And that was from the Collat family, Mr. and Mrs. Charles and Patsy Collat. And so that is where our name comes from. We are very proud of that. They are a very philanthropic family, but what they have done here for our students in the Collat School of Business is just given them endless possibilities with the money that they have given to us. And so we try to incorporate those funds into lots of things that we do, and it all goes to student success. So we will go ahead and get started. And I just want to talk about, as you saw, some highlights and some alumni of Collat. We recently here in Birmingham were ranked as the #1 place for new college graduates to find a job. And we think that's really important. One thing that we talk about here in the Collat School of Business, when we do tours and things like that, I always tell students, look out the windows, and you can see right outside of our windows here while they're sitting in class, they have access to the hub of Alabama, just where business is brewing, and that's new businesses, Fortune 500 companies. So we've got it all right here outside of their door. And so we think that's really important, especially in the business world. We have faculty most of our faculty come from industry. And so they are bringing that knowledge into the classroom. So what they have learned in industry, they bring that in and they apply that. They help the students apply those case studies and such things that they have seen in industry. They bring that into the classroom. And so that's something really important for our students. You can see there, we have smaller class sizes. If you go look at our class schedule, for most of our classes, you're going to see anywhere from 30 to 50, maybe sometimes 60 seats. Very seldom do we have any larger classes. We do have some located in our larger auditorium, but that's one or two, and your student may never have a class that's more than 50 or 60 in class size. As you know, that does allow students to really get to know their faculty and faculty to get to know their students. And we just feel like that's really important here in Collat. And then we've been ranked. We've got some programs that are ranked in U.S. News and World Report, and those are some things that we're really excited about as well. Here in Collat, we have 9 business majors. You'll see undeclared business listed down there. That is not a major, but it is a major that they can choose as your student is coming in, as they apply, or if they get here and they go, oh, okay, I don't know. I thought I was sure and now I'm not. We have an advisor dedicated to our undeclared business students. And so she works with them to kind of decide what's going to be the best fit for me. And that's really what we're looking at with students. We feel like all business students are going to be able to go do well, but they're not going to do well unless it's a good fit for them, meaning that they have the skill set, it's something that they at least enjoy a little bit, and that they can see themselves doing for a while. So 9 majors there: accounting, finance, marketing, distribution, economics, management, HR, information systems, and entrepreneurship. We also have several business minors, so it's important to note that a minor is not required for our students in business. This is something that if they want to add the minor, they can. They can even add minors outside of business. It's easier to minor in business because you've got all the prereqs to those courses, so they're really only taking the extra classes that constitute that minor that aren't the prereqs that they've already had in their core. And so you can see options there that are the same as majors. So for example, sometimes we'll have finance majors do a marketing minor, or an accounting major do a finance minor. But we have students do all sorts of combinations, and we try to make sure that those are corresponding to a separate skill set that's going to give them a leg up in the area they want to go into. Or sometimes it's just, I don't want to major in this, but I do want to have a little bit of experience and knowledge there. And so I'm going to add this on if I have the time and space to do that. We do have some business elective requirements, and so it has become easier now we've had a change in our business curriculum to free up some of those spaces. It has become easier to add a minor if they're interested. You'll see some there that don't correspond with a major directly. So social media strategies and sports and entertainment marketing. Those are some that students can add that, they wouldn't major in that. Okay, something that we think is really, really important, and that's the reason that the Career Center is the first thing you see when you walk in our front door. When we were building this building back, we moved in 2018, so I still call it new. It still feels new. It's we try to keep it pretty clean around here. We have an amazing staff that does that. But they wanted the Career Center to be the first thing that you see when you walk in the door. And so our Career Center staff up there's Tristan, Rita, and Andrea, and they are just amazing people who our students have come to know and trust. And so they give our students so many opportunities to, network and get to know employers, and that allow employers to get to know our students. So you can see there that they do the typical things: resume building and workshops, internship opportunities and the search for those internships, mock interview preparation. They do have a career closet. And I kind of want to say career closets, because they have expanded their career closet into now they have 3 separate rooms. And they have a men's closet, a women's closet, and then one that's kind of the catch-all for anything that's extra above and beyond, because they've gotten so much clothing that they need an extra space for that. So students can come in to the career closet and get up to 3 professional items per semester. Per year, academic year, I'm sorry, per academic year. And if you add that up, they could have the start to over 4 years, or if they're transferring in a couple of years, they could have the start to their professional closet in their own space. And so they also have kind of clean outs at the end of the year where they'll allow students to come get above and beyond that 3 items. So students could really have a free professional wardrobe by the time they graduate from Collat here at UAB. And so that's something that we all take a lot of pride in. It's something that the Career Center works hard on to provide things that students like, that are going to help them feel confident walking into interviews, attending the career fairs. And so They've done a lot of work to expand that service for students. And then they also have a lot of networking events that you'll see throughout the year. So some of the signature events that they host every fall and every spring semesters, we host career fairs here in the Collat School of Business. So we have movers come in, they move all the furniture out of our commons area, and they move in tables for our employers to come in and recruit our students for part-time jobs, full-time jobs, internships. And so that's a really important event. You can see on the lower left picture, there's a couple of our students that are dressed up for the career fair, and we do require professional dress for those days, so that as they meet employers, they're putting their best foot forward. They also have walk-in Wednesdays where no appointment needed. They sit out in our atrium right out here when you first walk into the building, and students can walk up and ask about anything career related. So if they want to get their resume looked at, if they want to ask about, an interview that they have coming up, whatever it is, they are out there every Wednesday during fall and spring semesters for our students. They have something called employer city tours. So that's the picture on the bottom right. They have taken students to several cities, and I'll say around the Southeast. They've been to Huntsville. They did it in Birmingham last spring, so that wasn't, a long trip. They've been to Atlanta. They've been to several cities throughout the Southeast, and they take students to see where they would work, live, and play. And so they try to involve all of those things so that students get a good idea of what it would look like if I wanted to work for a company that was located in this area. And they also have employer chats where they bring employers into our building once a week, where employers will provide lunch. And all students have to do is come join the employer. They listen to the employer talk about opportunities that they have for students to apply to and learn about their company. And they get a free lunch out of that too. So that's always nice. You can follow the Career Center on Instagram. And so they're real fun to follow. They did have a video go viral. They had over a million views. I think that was in this last academic year. I can't remember if it was spring or fall. I think it may have been fall. Oh, it was right before the holidays. And so if you go follow them, you can find that video. They've got some great things that they're doing there, and they showcase that often on their profile. And then you'll see something called Handshake down there. So this is something that you want to make sure your student is registered for. It is the career management system that we have here at UAB. And so students just create their profile, and then they have access to all of the job listings. Again, that's part-time, full-time, internships. And so any employers that come and want to recruit students, that's where the Career Center has them post those opportunities. And they're all available there. And they make it super simple for students. You'll see that top right picture is a bell. It is a dragon. Go Blaze. And that is a bell. And so when students get an internship or a full-time job, they are invited to come in to the Career Center, and they take their picture, they ring the bell, they take their picture ringing the bell, and then the wall behind that, they take a Polaroid picture. So print out the Polaroid, and that goes up on the wall for people who have gotten that internship or full-time job that they were after. And so that's just a really fun thing that they do in there as well. So our Career Center is amazing. They do all the needed things for students. The students just have to take advantage of all the opportunities that they provide. So we want our students to know that they have a place here in Collat, and that, we want them to get involved outside of the classroom as well. We feel like that's really important to make that connection to other students, their peers and their major or in a student organization. And they can do that through some of these opportunities that you see listed here. So these are student organizations. I won't name all of them, but we have more than this. This is just a handful of them. But there are so many opportunities, and we want students to take advantage, because in these different organizations are different ways for them to get experience, to network with employers, and just to build their skill set. So, for example, we have kind of a leadership development overarching team where if students come in and they join the freshman leadership team, the idea is that they would then move on to the sophomore leadership team and then to Collat ambassadors in their junior or senior year. And so that's kind of a development program there that we have for students, and that those teams, they build on each other. So starting out as freshmen, what do freshmen need to know? It's like getting to know, okay, where do I need to grow? Where do I need to, work on different areas? And then sophomore leadership team is more of applying those. And then Collat ambassadors is just like a UAB ambassador, where they are the face of the school. And so they represent us in lots of different areas. But there's other opportunities there. The Green and Gold Fund, they have over $700,000 in a portfolio that is real money. And so we have a finance trading lab up on the third floor, and any student can join that and get some real world experience in managing a portfolio. So lots of opportunities. All these other student organizations, the ones not even listed here, are just great experience for our students and on a bunch of different levels. Okay, I don't want to read through these, and that might be a little bit boring, but I'll just hit some of the top key points. And this is a little bit about each of our majors. So accounting, we have students that go into public accounting, private, governmental, or not for profit. And so we've got lots of different areas. We have students that go on we do have the Masters of Accounting here. And we have lots of students that will sit for their CPA. So any kind of accounting that they're interested in, we can develop their degree plan, their path that will be most beneficial for what area of accounting they want to go into. For finance, you can see that it talks about the Green and Gold Fund. Most of our students in there are finance majors, but it is open to lots of other students. Any major can join that fund. But if you become a finance major, you definitely will get trained on the Bloomberg terminals, which is where they log in and do their research on the stock market. So we've got all of those up there in the lab, the finance trading lab. We have marketing. And so marketing, a lot of people, when they think marketing these days, they think more digital marketing. We certainly do have digital marketing here. That is a concentration. We still talk about, old school marketing that applies to today's world, but it doesn't all have to be digital. That is where a lot of people are focused and a lot of students are interested there. But I think parents but I'm almost 45, so people like me, we go, well, are you playing around on Facebook or Instagram or whatever? And it's way more than that. And so the students are really learning the analytics behind that. And so looking at how do we reach our market and what does that look like is a really fun and interesting backside to kind of the things that you see on the front end. We also have people that are interested in the athletics side of marketing. And so that's one where we have plenty of opportunities for them here at UAB to go ahead and get internships and things like that here. Economics. So this is another place where students are often involved in the Green and Gold Fund, but our econ students, a lot of them are looking at like Federal Reserve, banking, things like that. But we have a good number of students that want to go on and do their PhD for several different reasons, but we've had a couple of students go on and teach. And I think that's really something that says a lot about our faculty here, our econ faculty. You'll see that we have a faculty who's often on the news. You might have seen him if you're local, Dr. Ben Meadows. He's always on there answering questions about what's going on in the economy and things like that. So we've just got some really great people there. We do have a named program, and that's the Charles and Patsy Collat Distribution Program. It was the first endowed program outside of the School of Medicine. And It's one of the very few. It's something that you don't see a lot across the country. And so they have a concentration in the medical distribution side and then the typical distribution side, which is kind of like ops and things like that. So in sales. And so that's a really niche program that does really well. And our students coming out of that program do really well. And so it's something, if you haven't heard of it, you should definitely look into it. Management. Our students have, amazing access in this area because of where we are in Birmingham. And so really looking at that business acumen and how do we kind of move organizations forward. That's really what that management degree is focused on. Human resource management, a lot of people think, hiring, firing, training, and that is definitely what it is, and that's what the skills they walk out of here with. But looking at how they can be strategic business partners, with everyone in a business. And so I think that's really important to think about when you're looking at that HR management degree, is really how do you work with every person and every area in a business. And so we've got a good program going there. Information systems. This is another hot topic right now. We have students can actually complete the cybersecurity and the data analytics concentrations within their major without actually adding extra credit hours. So cybersecurity, I know, is something that is huge right now. It has been for several years. Looking at how do we protect our organizations. And so that's where this is the business side, as compared to computer science, where it's more programming and things like this. This is the business side of how do we implement those things to better protect our business. Entrepreneurship, everybody knows what this is. We really prepare our students. Yes, a lot of students want to start their own business, but everybody's not going to be able to walk out our doors and start their own business. So what does it look like to go in to an entrepreneurial organization or into a larger company that wants to be entrepreneurial? And so thinking kind of outside the box and how do we take a different look at things, and how do we take a problem, solve that problem, and then be able to scale that problem or scale that solution. So that's really what entrepreneurship is looking at. And then, of course, yes, we have students who are actually walking out, starting their own businesses and doing really, really well. And you'll see one example of that here. So I'm not wanting to take a ton of time here, but I do want you to just kind of look at some of these alumni that we have. We've got, I do want to point out finance there, Chad Hagewood. He named our finance trading lab. And so he's doing so well that when we were building this building, the finance trading lab is called the Chad Hagewood Finance Trading Lab. And so he's doing amazing things in the community as well. We have Miriam Bolus, an accounting major there, accounting graduate. She did her undergrad and her grad here, works at SCA Health. Tracy Bennett Smith from Make-A-Wish, Alabama, the president and CEO. She was a marketing major here. We have some here that you can look at, and all of these students doing very well. You can see we've got some from 16 years ago, 5 years ago, but they're all doing wonderful, wonderful things and doing very well. And again, here for our last three. And what I was going to point out is that if you look under entrepreneurship, our Javal, he has 4 different companies that he's running. And so he's doing very well with all of them. And so our entrepreneurship majors tend to be go-getters for sure. And so they're out there trying to solve all kinds of problems that we have so that they can put forth solutions and scale those. So we've got some great alumni. This is just one from each major, but we have amazing people who are involved. They come back and participate, and they receive so much from the Collat School of Business that they want to come back and do the same for others. And so all of these people are just really involved with what we do here. We want our students to be able to see, what what does it look like when you leave here? We can tell them all day long that you're going to be able to do these things, but when they get to talk to the students, the graduates who have been there and done that and been through all of the things that they're going through, and they came out on the other end, successful, that's always helpful for students to see. Okay, so this is specifically geared towards students, but I want you to see what they need to be doing. What are we asking of them? So we ask that they check their email every single day, at least, if not multiple times a day. This is the official communication for anybody at UAB to contact your student. And so it's going to get overwhelming. They've got to figure out a system that's going to work for them because so many people from UAB, they're going to be getting messages about health and wellness and advising and all of the things. You can see our note as advisors, they are only going to send an email if they have important information to share. So once they know their advisor's name, they need to be on the lookout for that specifically, because an advisor, you know, your student's going to sign up for an appointment to come see an advisor, but the advisor oftentimes is not going to reach out unless it's something that the student needs to know or do or check on. So we need them to be checking their email for lots of different things, and they need to have a system that makes it easier to kind of sort through and review what they need to know. GPA requirements in the Collat School of Business. So we do require that they have a 2.0, which is a C across the board in all of these areas. And so you may think, well, why does it have to be all split out? Because, overall UAB, business, major, are they not all the same? They are not. So if your student is coming in with any dual enrollment, anything from another institution of higher education, and then they take UAB classes, those together are going to be their overall GPA. UAB GPA is just UAB classes. Business GPA is anything being taught out of the Collat School of Business. And then major are just those 8 to 9 classes in their major. And so they all can be very different. A student could have a 4.0 major GPA and 2.75 overall GPA. And so those can look very different. And so their advisor will help them keep an eye on, is there anywhere we're falling below? We always recommend that if a student starts to see that their grade in a class is falling below a C, that they want to reach out to their advisor and talk about resources. So what are resources that we have here in the Collat School of Business or on campus at UAB so that we can help them turn that around? We do have a tutoring lab. I am located in the Welcome Center, and attached to the Welcome Center is our tutoring lab. And so students can walk in, they can make an appointment. It's free of charge. And so they can access our tutors, which are peers. They've been through the class, they've done very well, and they are here to help them through when they have questions, if they need help, if they get stuck. And so we have an excellent tutoring service here in Collat. So your student will receive something that looks like this. It's probably going to be on a yellow sheet of paper. And this is what they need to graduate with a business degree here at UAB. It looks kind of easy when you put it all on one page like this, but this is a simpler way for advisors to keep up with this. Sometimes students can't keep up with the sheet of paper, and so this is all also listed in the graduation planning system in BlazerNet, and so your student has access to that 24/7. But this sheet kind of allows us to put it all in one place. You don't have to scroll through. You can just take a good look at it. And the advisor will fill this out every time they meet with a student with their grade and then what they have coming up for the next semester. So this is a great way to kind of keep up with, okay, what do I need? What does it look like for me to get out of here and to earn that degree and move on to be a successful professional? Okay, so if your student has any AP, IB, or dual enrollment credits, hopefully they have told their advisor about that at this point. AP scores have been, distributed, so those should have come at the beginning of July. All of the others, sometimes students just assume that because they took classes somewhere else and they told UAB they took classes somewhere else, that their transcript is going to be sent, but students actually have to go in and order that transcript to be sent. And anytime they go take a class somewhere else, if they do it as a transient student, maybe during a summer, they want to take a class closer to back home so that they can be face to face, they always have to send a transcript back to UAB with those new updated classes on there. So advisors definitely don't want students to take a class that they have already received credit for. And so they need to be having these conversations with their advisors that, that class sounds familiar. I feel like I might have already taken that. Okay, let's look at your transcripts. Where do you think you took this? Or maybe, something got lost in translation on, articulation. There's a lot of things that can happen there. So they just want to always be communicating for any outside credit. So if your student is a freshman, this is what they're looking at when they come in to register. Unless they have credit for it already, we are going to be putting them in an English class. So that is their step one, English. Step two, unless they already have credit for it, we are always going to be putting them in a math class. Math is an important sequence for business, and so we need to get them in sooner rather than later and taking those courses. Step three is they're going to take an introduction to business course, which is a required part of the curriculum. Step four, they'll choose between ethics and AI and society. And if that's not something they're interested in, there are other options that we can look at with them. And then step five, or class number 5, would be foundations of business communications. Again, that's another area where there's other options and we can have that conversation with them. Now, a lot of students are coming in with a class from here or AP credit here. This gets adjusted with the student as they have those conversations, which is why it's really important for them to share any other outside credit that they've received. If your student is confused about looking at their schedule and knowing what days they're going to attend classes, we've got that up here. Thursday is usually the one. If they see a TR, they get confused and think that they're only going to class on Thursday, but that actually is Tuesday and Thursday. So we really like to point that out. And then, you've got Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but Tuesday, Thursday. So if they have maybe a lab or something, they might just see an R. And so on science labs, sometimes it'll just have an R, and that means they're going one day a week, is how our science labs work. And so that'll be an M, a T, a W, or an R. If your student is a transfer student, we want to make sure that we have all of their courses. Sometimes they're still taking classes at another institution when they're coming to us to register for classes. So we want to make sure that, again, they're letting us know, and we want them to tell us if they feel like they've had something before. We certainly don't want anybody to retake anything that they've already received credit for. So again, we'll be working with those transfer students to ensure that we have all of their transcripts coming over. Okay, one thing in the Collat School of Business that they are going to be working on throughout their entire time here is a portfolio, a professional portfolio. And so this is a collection of their best work, of any achievements, awards, anything that they've received. Their resume will be in there. So you can see there that it's going to include things like a personal statement, if they've written a paper or something where they feel really proud, they got a really good grade on it, and they want to include that for employers to see, they would include that. Any awards or certificates that they receive while they're here, extracurriculars, volunteer service hours, anything like that. And this is also where they can keep their letters of recommendation if they get those from faculty or organization advisors or their academic advisors. We want students to be able to highlight, their strengths, their passions, and kind of give employers that full view of who am I as a student and how is that going to translate into me being an employee. And so we want our employers to be able to kind of understand students better. And of course, they want that sheet of paper, they want the resume, and they want to see that written out. But this gives them an extra bundle of information for them to share with employers to hopefully get that leg up. So they'll be working on this. They'll start it in their Business 101 class, and then they will continue to work on that in some classes throughout their time here. Business Bound. Hopefully, you all have seen something about Business Bound by this point. So we have sent postcards to your houses. We have sent text messages to your students. We have calls are being made actually as we speak to your students if they haven't registered yet. So Business Bound is it's think of it as a supplement to orientation where you're kind of learning everything UAB at orientation. When you come to Business Bound, you learn everything Collat School of Business. The agenda here is something that gives them access to go ahead and meet professors. So they will meet several faculty that teach here that will come in and do some sessions with them. The Business 101 professor will come and talk to them about this is what you're going to experience in my class in fall. This is what you need to be prepared for. They get to move in early. So if they're going to live on campus, they get to move in early. They'll move in on Tuesday, and then we start on that Tuesday evening with the programming. They will meet all the other students coming in with their class. And so that's really important. This is for freshmen and transfers. They'll meet their advisors again. They may not have, they've probably registered with their advisor, but they may not have seen them at orientation because advisors rotate through orientation. So it'll give them some time to talk with their advisor as well. And then just lots of people here in Collat. They'll meet the dean, the associate deans. And so they'll get an opportunity to really just get to know each other, get comfortable. They do an activity where they go around and find their classrooms so that on the first day of class, they know exactly where they're going. So we want them to really spend this time to get acclimated and for us to give them all the information they need about being a student here in the Collat School of Business. That way, when they walk in on the first day, you can tell the difference. So we do a welcome week and we sit out, we post up, and we have some fun activities and give away some swag. And you can always tell the students who attended Business Bound because they come walking in the front door and they're confident and they walk right past us and say hello and they already know people and they're having the conversations and, hey, just saw you last week. How's it been going? Opposed to the students who did not attend Business Bound, and they're looking at their phone and they're not sure where to go and they don't know, where their classroom is and they're nervous because they haven't met anybody yet. And so this is a great opportunity. It's kind of like Orientation Plus, a great opportunity for them to get to know the other students coming in business. Who are they going to be sitting in Business 101, Business 200, Business 250 with? And they're going to go ahead and make those connections so that they're not having to do that along with all of their, classes on the first day. So this is a really important event. We want everyone to take advantage of this. So if your student hasn't signed up, please, please, please have them sign up. We're ordering t-shirts today. So we would love to have their t-shirt size so they get the t-shirt size they want. If they can go ahead and fill that out. If not, we will take registrations up until a few days before August 18th, but the sooner the better. And, if there's an issue with anything about being able to attend, please reach out and let us know. We're happy to help solve any problems about attendance. If they're doing honors retreat, they can still do this. We work with honors to split their time. If they're doing sorority recruitment, they can still do this. We work with the Greek advisor to work that out. So any other experience that they're having, we work with those entities to make sure that the students can do both things. Okay. If there are any questions, we have time for questions now.
We do have time for questions. And so families, if at any point at this time you have any questions, you can submit them here through the Q&A section or on Facebook through the comment section. And so there's been a wealth of information presented today from anywhere from the co-curricular opportunities to the focus of the degrees to the class experiences. Faculty is amazing. And also those tips were very important, especially the ones about checking the UAB email every day or as much as possible, because messages will be coming. And we know that there may be a lot of messages, coming through, but it's going to be very important, especially as students prepare to transition, that they keep up with their UAB email address and take care of that in a timely manner. So again, if you have any questions at this time, please submit them to the Q&A section. I also want to take this opportunity not just to thank Laura for being here with us today, but also to all of you who are joining us on Facebook and on Zoom, and to remind you about tomorrow's webinar by the Vulcan Materials Student Success Center. It's going to be tomorrow at 12, and it'll provide you information about supplemental instruction, tutoring, and you mentioned tutoring also, Laura, through your presentation. So if students need any support, remind us how they access that information, how it would be different. Do they go to the Collat school if they're in the business career?
Yes, if they are a business student, we will tutor them in our quantitative business courses. And so they would just come in through the Welcome Center, which they have recently put up, it says start here on our windows. So when your student comes in, they know to start here with us. And so they would just come in and talk to a tutor and tell them what class they need tutoring in, and they would be able to meet with them. And that's for business courses, business and math. The Vulcan Materials Academic Success Center is going to tutor in all the other things. So
that's important clarification. When students come to orientation, do they get to tour Collat, or if they have a minute to slide out and visit, can they do that?
Yes, when they come to orientation, they are coming to see us, and they come over here and see this presentation. So that's why I said they're seeing the same thing, and we really wanted you all to see the same thing that they're seeing, to know what the information that they're getting. And so yes, they get to see the building. We actually do a tour for them before they come into a classroom and sit down and view the presentation. And we also have a panel of current students that comes in and gives them some information, but then our orientation attendees have the opportunity to ask any questions that they have of the current students. And so that's been a really great opportunity. We've got such excellent questions in all of our orientation sessions of students just asking about anything. A day in the life, and what about this type of thing, and what about this class, and what about your experience here? And so it's been a really great opportunity for our incoming students to be able to talk to current students. And that will be continued at Business Bound, so they'll get much more opportunity for that at Business Bound.
And speaking of Business Bound, at what time will Business Bound students move in on that Tuesday that they move
They will move in during the day they'll get assigned a time, but it'll be during the day on that Tuesday. And then we start our events at dinner time for Business Bound. We'll do dinner. And then, and that's dinner with the deans. And so that'll be our dean, our associate dean, and our department chairs will be at dinner with the students the first night. And then the next 2 days will be full days, Wednesday and Thursday.
And all of that information will be coming to the students through their UAB email. So that's very important to keep up with that. And so remind your students to check it and see. So I don't see any questions at this time, but if families or students have questions, can they send them to you? Where can they send the questions?
Of course. The best person to reach out to is going to be their academic advisor. If you have questions that you want to ask me specifically about the presentation today, I'm happy for you to reach out to me. And so, yeah, either way. Do I need to put it in chat?
If you want to, yes, you can put your email on the chat, and I'll make sure everybody sees the chat. But I think what was very important was also the fact that students can ask their academic advisor if they have specific questions. Families don't join the advising session, but students can think of questions and write them down as they meet with their advisors. And again, all of that will be coming through their UAB email address. And I'm going to put your email address here, Laura, in case families have questions about this presentation or need to have any clarification on anything. But at this time, we don't have any questions. And again, families, this presentation will stay live, recorded on Facebook, and then will be uploaded to our website, uab.edu/families, in about a week with captions, so you can view it and share it with your student or other families who haven't seen it. So thank you, Laura, for joining us and for all the information. And thank you,
Thank you so
families.
much.
And we hope to see you tomorrow. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.